We're trying to take death out of the immigration equation. The fact is, they are crossing the border, whether we like it or not, and they're dying.
Walking through the desert unprepared is a matter of life and death.
Yes, they're breaking the law when they cross the border without the documents. But our feeling is that should not be a crime punishable by death.
Throughout the desert, there are vast areas with no reliable water sources.
So this is nothing new. This is the story of people having to move. Maybe we ought to go back and take a look at Exodus and recognize that when people need to move, they need to move.
Motivated by faith and the universal need for kindness, Humane Borders maintains a system of water stations in the Sonoran Desert on routes used by migrants making the perilous journey here on foot. Founded in the summer of the year 2000, Humane Borders' primary mission is to save desperate people from a horrible death by dehydration and exposure, and to create a just and humane environment in the borderlands.
Whenever I come, I say this prayer. I want to ask you for my migrant brothers and sisters. Have pity on them and protect them as they suffer mistreatments and humiliations on their journeys, are labeled as dangerous and marginalized for being foreigners.
There was one woman in particular who, she was in a very extreme situation where she was pregnant and they killed her husband. The cartels in her area said, we're going to put you in the sex industry. We're going to, you're going to be forced into this. And so as soon as your baby is born, we're going to kill your baby and we're going to take you over. And as soon as she gave birth, she started walking around her room. And it took a few days, but as soon as she was able to walk any length of time, she strapped on her baby and started walking out of that town. I mean, when she got here to the United States, it was summertime. She was walking in 108-degree heat with a newborn baby. The baby was, very dehydrated. The mother was very dehydrated, and they required medical attention. And it was just that moment of sitting there with these women, and saying, okay, why'd you take this risk? This is so horrible. And she said, I'd rather die trying. That's what we see over and over again, is that same story. I'd rather die trying.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection has reported a significant decline of illegal crossings over the past few years. But the number of human remains found in the desert during those same years has remained steady. So the rate of death and human remains has actually increased. Why is that? We think in part it's because people are traveling from further away, particularly the Central American countries, and because they're traveling in more remote locations.
People are crossing because this is their pathway to survival.
Well, Humane Borders is a water organization, so they wish to put water out in the desert to prevent deaths from occurring. And certainly the answer is in the name, because it's the humane thing to do in a civilized society to try to prevent deaths.
People sometimes ask if Humane Borders work is legal. They wonder if they volunteer with us, will they be in trouble? Humane Borders work is legal. When Humane Borders began, one of our founding principles was to try and prevent migrant deaths within the existing legal system. That decision has served us well. We have an operating agreement with the City of Tucson, a contract with the County of Pima, and special use permits from the National Park Service, the Bureau of Land Management, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. We follow all applicable rules and regulations.
We have a very good relationship with the Border Patrol. We work with them. We agree to disagree on a number of things, but we can decide to work against them and save this many lives. Or we can take issues that we agree to disagree on and work together and save this many lives. That's the option we take.
It's a tragedy of humongous proportions, and we have responsibilities, according to the Arizona Constitution, to provide public health. Those are deaths, the people who die in the desert, those are deaths that can be prevented. And Humane Borders presented us with a methodology of being able to prevent some of those deaths. And we have agreed with them, and we have funded them consistently over the last 16 years, I believe. We were the first county in the United States to pay for water to try and prevent unnecessary death in the desert from undocumented border crossers.
Every life we save is a life we might not have saved.
These have been vandalized. The spigot's been taken out. There's pieces of the sign that's been torn off, and it's completely empty.
When was the last time it was checked?
Last week,
So this has been vandalized in the past week.
in the past week.
I became involved with Humane Borders in 2003 when I was reading about the increase of deaths in the desert, and I wanted to do something about it. Humane Borders is a volunteer-based organization, and we need your help. Your donation of $28 buys us a new water barrel. $37 buys a tank of gas for one of the trucks. $100 helps pay for our required insurance. $500 helps with the never-ending truck repairs. We depend on volunteers and have been recognized by the Internal Revenue Service as a charitable nonprofit organization. We have water runs leaving from Tucson, Phoenix, and Ajo year-round. If you are interested in helping, please go to our website at www.humaneborders.org or send an email to info@humaneborders.org. We need drivers with good driving records and the ability to change a tire in the desert, as well as passengers. Most water runs do not require hiking or heavy lifting, just a willing heart and a helping hand.
This is not a 4-course meal, and a luxury home or anything. This is just to keep people alive.